The wedding ring slipped from Lily Lancaster's trembling fingers into the pawnbroker's weathered palm, and she felt her heart crack like dried leather under a merciless sun. Hill City, South Dakota had known harsh winters before, but December of 1883 brought something worse than snow. It brought scarlet fever that swept through the mining community like wildfire through prairie grass. The child lying in Doc Henderson's office, 7-year-old Emma Pritchard, wasn't even her own flesh and blood. But when Lily had found the girl collapsed outside the general store 3 days ago, burning with fever and calling for a mother who had died in childbirth 2 years prior, she couldn't turn away. $40, the pawnbroker said, examining the simple gold band with its tiny diamond chip. That's generous, Mrs. Lancaster. Lily swallowed hard, remembering how Thomas had placed that ring on her finger 5 years ago, just weeks before the mine collapse that had stolen him from her forever. She was only 23 now, had been barely 18 when they married, and that ring represented the only happy memories she possessed in this unforgiving world. But Emma's fever raged higher each day, and Doc Henderson needed money for the medicine that had to be ordered from Rapid City. The girl's father, a prospector who had left her with neighbors while he chased gold in the Black Hills, hadn't been heard from in months. Someone had to save her. "I'll take it," Lily whispered, her throat tight. She clutched the bills in her fist and hurried through the December cold to Doc Henderson's office, where Emma lay on a cot, her small face flushed crimson, her breathing shallow. The doc looked up as Lily entered, his expression weary but hopeful when he saw the money. "This will get the medicine," he said quietly. "You're doing a good thing, Lily." She nodded, unable to speak, and sat beside Emma's cot, smoothing the child's damp hair back from her forehead. The girl's eyes fluttered open, glassy with fever. "Mama," Emma whispered. "Hush now," Lily soothed, though tears burned behind her eyes. "You're going to be just fine." Across town, Owen Zimmerman guided his horse through the snow-dusted streets, his saddlebags heavy with supplies from his cattle run to Rapid City. At 26, he had spent the last 8 years working ranches across the Dakota Territory, saving every penny to buy his own land. He was a tall man, broad-shouldered from years of hard labor, with dark hair that touched his collar and eyes the color of storm clouds. People said he was too serious, too quiet, but Owen had learned early that words were cheap and actions spoke louder. He stopped at the livery to stable his horse and noticed a small crowd gathered outside the pawnshop. Curious, he dismounted and walked closer, catching fragments of conversation. "Heard Lily Lancaster sold her wedding ring," old Mrs. Chen was saying to the blacksmith. "For the Pritchard girl." "That ring was all she had left of Thomas," the blacksmith replied, shaking his head. "Poor woman's got nothing now." Owen frowned, remembering Lily Lancaster vaguely. He had seen her around town, a slender woman with honey-colored hair and sad green eyes, always keeping to herself. She worked at the schoolhouse, teaching the children for barely enough to pay her rent. The fact that she had given up something so precious for a child who wasn't her own stirred something in his chest, something unfamiliar and uncomfortable. He pushed into the pawn shop, the bell jangling overhead. The broker looked up from his ledger. "Help you?" "The ring that just came in," Owen said. "The one from Mrs. Lancaster. I want to see it." The broker hesitated, then pulled out the simple gold band. Owen took it carefully, examining the inscription inside. "Thomas and Lily always." His jaw tightened. This wasn't just jewelry. This was a piece of someone's soul. "How much?" he asked. "Sold it to her for 40. I'll need 50 to part with it." Owen didn't hesitate. He counted out the bills, watching them disappear into the broker's cash box, and slipped the ring into his vest pocket. He wasn't sure what he planned to do with it yet, only that leaving it in a pawn shop felt wrong in a way he couldn't articulate. Over the next 3 days, Owen found himself thinking about Lily Lancaster far more than he should. He made discreet inquiries and learned more of her story. She had married young, been widowed younger, and had spent the last 5 years scraping by on teaching wages and occasional seamstress work. She never complained, never asked for charity, and now she had given away the one thing of value she possessed. On the 4th day, Doc Henderson sent word that the medicine had arrived and Emma Pritchard's fever had broken. The town breathed a collective sigh of relief. Owen stood outside the general store, watching as Lily emerged from the doc's office, her face transformed by a smile that made her look younger, lighter. She spoke briefly with Mrs. Chen before heading toward the schoolhouse, and Owen felt his feet moving before his brain caught up. "Mrs. Lancaster," he called out. She turned, her smile fading into polite curiosity as she took in the tall cowboy approaching her. "Yes." Up close, Owen found himself momentarily speechless. She was prettier than he had realized, despite the threadbare coat and worn boots. But it was her eyes that held him, those green eyes that had seen too much sorrow but still held kindness. "I heard what you did," he said, his voice rougher than intended. "For the Pritchard girl." Lily's cheeks colored slightly. News travels fast in a small town. "It was a brave thing," Owen continued. He reached into his vest pocket and pulled out the ring. "I believe this belongs to you." Lily's eyes widened, her hand flying to her mouth. "I don't understand. How did you bought it back from the pawnbroker?" Owen said simply. "Figured you shouldn't have to lose something that important. But that's $50, Lily breathed, staring at the ring as though it were a ghost. "I can't possibly accept this. I don't even know you, Mr. Zimmerman." "Owen Zimmerman." He held out the ring. "And you can accept it. You already paid for it once. Consider this a loan if it makes you feel better. Pay me back when you're able." Lily looked torn between pride and longing. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the ring, and when her hand brushed his, Owen felt something electric pass between them. Her eyes met his, startled, and he wondered if she felt it too. "Thank you," she whispered, slipping the ring back onto her finger. "This means more than you could possibly know." "I think I have some idea," Owen said softly. Then, because he couldn't help himself, "Would you allow me to walk you home, Mrs. Lancaster?" She hesitated for only a moment before nodding. They walked in silence at first, their breath forming clouds in the cold air. The snow crunched beneath their boots, and somewhere a dog barked. Hill City was preparing for Christmas, evergreen boughs and red ribbons appearing in windows, but Owen was conscious only of the woman beside him. "You said your name was Zimmerman," Lily said finally. "Are you new to Hill City?" "Fairly new," Owen replied. "I've been working ranches in the territory for years, but I just bought some land north of town, planning to build a small ranch, raise cattle and horses." "That sounds wonderful," Lily said, and there was genuine warmth in her voice. "It must be nice to have a dream and the means to pursue it." "What about you?" Owen asked. "Do you have dreams, Mrs. Lancaster?" She was quiet for a long moment. "I suppose I did once, but dreams have a way of fading when you're just trying to survive." The sadness in her voice made Owen's chest ache. Maybe it's time to dream again. They reached the boarding house where Lily rented a small room on the 2nd floor. She turned to face him, and in the fading afternoon light, Owen thought he had never seen anyone more beautiful. "Thank you again, Mr. Zimmerman," she said, "for the ring and for the company." "Owen," he corrected, "and you're welcome. Mrs. Lancaster, Lily," she interrupted with a shy smile. "If I'm to call you Owen, you should call me Lily." "Lily," he repeated, liking the sound of it on his tongue. "Would you permit me to call on you sometime?" Her smile faltered slightly, uncertainty clouding her features. "I'm not sure that's wise, Owen. I'm not looking to remarry. My heart is still with Thomas in a way. I don't know if I could give anyone what they deserve." "I'm not asking for your whole heart right away," Owen said gently. "Just a conversation over coffee, maybe. A chance to know you better." Lily studied him for a long moment, and Owen held his breath. Finally, she nodded. Coffee would be nice. "Sunday afternoon, perhaps, after church?" "Sunday afternoon," Owen agreed, feeling absurdly pleased. He touched his hat brim and watched her disappear into the boarding house before turning away. The ring-shaped weight in his pocket replaced by something lighter and more dangerous: hope. Sunday dawned clear and cold, the kind of winter day where the sky stretched endlessly blue and the air hurt to breathe. Owen dressed with more care than usual, combing his hair and even trimming his beard. He felt foolish for being nervous, but as he walked toward the church, his palms were sweating despite the frigid temperature. The service seemed to last forever. Owen sat in the back, watching Lily across the aisle. She wore a simple blue dress and a shawl, her hair pinned up neatly, and when she sang the hymns, her voice was clear and sweet. After the final blessing, Owen waited outside, stamping his feet against the cold until she emerged. "You came," she said, sounding surprised. "Did you think I wouldn't?" "I wasn't sure," Lily admitted. "Sometimes people say things they don't mean." "I always mean what I say," Owen told her, offering his arm. She took it after a moment's hesitation, and they walked toward the hotel restaurant, one of the few establishments in Hill City respectable enough for a Sunday afternoon. Over coffee and apple pie, they talked. Lily spoke hesitantly at first about her childhood in Nebraska. Her family's move to the Dakota Territory when she was 15, her marriage to Thomas. Owen listened, asking questions, watching the way her face came alive when she discussed teaching the children or the way her voice grew soft when she mentioned her late husband. "I don't want you to think I'm disloyal to Thomas's memory," Lily said at one point, stirring her coffee nervously. "But I suppose I've been lonely. It's been 5 years, and sometimes I wonder if I'm meant to spend the rest of my life alone." "You shouldn't have to," Owen said firmly. "You're young, Lily. You have so much life ahead of you. And you?" she asked, turning the conversation. "Why hasn't a man like you settled down? Surely you've had opportunities." Owen shrugged, feeling uncomfortable under her direct gaze. "I've been focused on building something stable. My father was a drifter, never stayed anywhere long enough to put down roots. I swore I'd be different, that I'd have land of my own before I even thought about a family." "And now you have the land," Lily observed. "Now I have the land," Owen agreed. He met her eyes across the table. "And maybe I'm ready to think about the rest." A flush crept up Lily's neck and she looked down at her coffee cup. "Owen, I should be honest with you. I'm not sure I can be what you're looking for. My heart, it feels broken still. Frozen, maybe. I don't know if I can love again the way I love Thomas." "I'm not asking you to love me the way you loved him," Owen said quietly. "Every love is different, Lily. I'm just asking for a chance to see where this might lead. No promises, no expectations. Just time together." Lily looked at him for a long moment, and Owen could see the war playing out behind her eyes, fear and longing, caution and hope. Finally, she nodded. "Time together," she agreed softly. "I think I can do that." The winter weeks that followed were the strangest and most wonderful of Lily's life. Owen called on her regularly, always respectful, always patient. They took walks along the frozen creek, attended church socials together, and spent long evenings in the boarding house parlor talking until the landlady pointedly cleared her throat. Lily found herself thinking about Owen at odd moments, during lessons when she should have been focused on teaching multiplication. or late at night when she lay in bed unable to sleep. He was so different from Thomas, who had been impulsive and romantic, full of grand gestures and passionate declarations. Owen was steady, quiet, his affection showing in small ways. The way he made sure she was always warm enough, the way he listened when she talked, the way his eyes softened when he looked at her. She caught herself one afternoon in early February, standing at the schoolhouse window and watching for his approach, and realized with a start that she was excited to see him. Not obligated, not merely fond, but genuinely excited. The realization terrified her. That evening, when Owen arrived to walk her home, she was subdued. He noticed immediately. "What's wrong?" he asked as they made their way through the snowy streets. "I'm scared," Lily admitted. The words tumbled out before she could stop them. "I'm scared because I'm starting to care about you, Owen. More than I thought I could care about anyone again, and I don't know if I'm ready for that." Owen stopped walking, turning to face her fully. They stood in the middle of the empty street, snow beginning to fall around them in fat, lazy flakes. "I'm scared too," he said. "Terrified, actually. I've never felt this way about anyone, Lily. Every time I'm away from you, I count the hours until I can see you again. When you smile at me, it feels like the sun coming out after a storm. And I know you're still healing, still figuring out what you want, but I need you to know I'm not going anywhere. I'll wait as long as it takes." Lily felt tears prick her eyes. "What if I can never be fully yours? What if part of me always belongs to Thomas?" "Then I'll take whatever part you can give," Owen said fiercely. "I don't need all of you, Lily. I just need you to let me love you, and maybe someday you'll find room in your heart to love me back." The tears spilled over then, freezing on her cheeks in the cold air. Without thinking, Lily stepped forward and wrapped her arms around Owen's waist, pressing her face against his chest. After a moment of surprise, his arms came around her, solid and warm. "I think I already do," she whispered into his coat. "Love you, I mean. I think I already do, and it scares me so much." Owen's arms tightened around her. "Then let it scare us both together." They stood like that for a long moment, snow falling around them, two lonely people finding warmth in each other. When Lily finally pulled back, Owen cupped her face in his gloved hands and leaned down slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His kiss was gentle, tentative, and Lily felt something inside her chest crack open, letting in light for the first time in years. When they parted, both were breathing hard, their breath mingling in the frigid air. "I should get you inside before you freeze," Owen murmured, but he made no move to let her go. "In a minute," Lily said, and kissed him again. Spring came to the Black Hills like a promise kept. The snow melted, revealing green shoots and wildflowers. The mine operations picked up, and Hill City bustled with renewed energy. Emma Pritchard, fully recovered from her illness, had been reunited with her father, who returned from the hills with enough gold to start fresh in Rapid City. The day they left, Emma threw her arms around Lily's neck. "Thank you for saving me," the girl whispered. "You're very welcome, sweetheart," Lily replied, her eyes damp. "You be good for your papa, you hear." She and Owen watched the wagon roll away, and Owen took her hand, lacing their fingers together. It had become natural now, this casual intimacy between them. The town had stopped gossiping about the widow Lancaster and the rancher Zimmerman, accepting them as a couple. "Come see the ranch with me," Owen said that afternoon. "It's time you saw what I've been building." Lily agreed, and they rode out together on Owen's horse, Lily seated in front of him, his arms secure around her waist. The land he had purchased was beautiful, rolling hills with good grazing and a creek running through it. He had built a small house, just 3 rooms so far, but sturdy and well made. "I've been adding on," Owen explained as he helped her down from the horse. "The bedroom is finished and I'm working on expanding the kitchen. I thought," he stopped, suddenly uncertain. "I thought maybe someday it could be a family home." Lily turned to look at him, her heart in her throat. "Owen Zimmerman, are you asking me something?" "Not yet," Owen said, catching her hand. "But soon, Lily. I want to ask you something soon, and I wanted you to see this place. To know that I'm serious about building a life. A life I hope you'll be part of." Lily walked through the house, taking in the careful craftsmanship, the way Owen had built everything with care and attention. She could picture herself here, cooking in the kitchen, reading by the fireplace, sleeping in Owen's arms in the bedroom he had built with his own hands. The vision didn't feel like a betrayal of Thomas. It felt like a new chapter, one she was finally ready to begin. "It's perfect," she told him, stepping back outside where he waited nervously. "Owen, it's absolutely perfect." His face broke into a relieved smile and he pulled her close. "You really think so?" "I know so." She tilted her face up to his. "And for the record, when you do ask me that question, my answer is going to be yes." Owen's eyes widened. "Lily, I love you," she said firmly. "I love you, Owen Zimmerman, and I'm ready to move forward, with you, building a life with you. I think Thomas would be happy for me. Happy that I found someone good and kind who loves me." Owen kissed her then, deep and thorough, and Lily felt the last frozen pieces of her heart thaw completely. When they finally broke apart, both were grinning like fools. "I don't have a ring yet," Owen said. "I wanted to get something special, not just." Lily pulled off her wedding ring and held it up. "Use this one. Make it new. Take it to the jeweler, have the inscription changed, add to it if you want. Turn it into something that represents both our pasts and our future." "Are you sure?" Owen asked, his voice thick with emotion. "I'm sure," Lily said. "It's time." 2 weeks later, on a Sunday afternoon after church, Owen got down on one knee in front of half the town in the churchyard. He pulled out the ring, which the jeweler had resized and re-engraved. Inside it now read, "Thomas and Lily always. Owen and Lily forever." "Lily Lancaster," Owen said, his voice carrying in the spring air, "you came into my life like an answer to a prayer I didn't know I was praying. You've taught me what it means to be truly brave, to give everything for someone else, to love without reservation. Will you marry me? Will you build a life with me on that ranch? Fill that house with love and laughter and maybe someday children? Will you let me spend every day for the rest of my life trying to make you happy?" Lily was crying openly now, nodding before she could find words. "Yes," she finally managed. "Yes, Owen, yes." The crowd erupted in cheers as Owen slipped the ring onto her finger and stood, sweeping her into his arms and kissing her soundly. Mrs. Chen dabbed at her eyes with her handkerchief, and even Doc Henderson was smiling broadly. They were married a month later in the same church, on a perfect May morning when the hills were green and the sky impossibly blue. Lily wore a simple white dress that she had sewn herself, with wildflowers in her hair. Owen wore his best suit, his hands trembling slightly as he took her hands in his. "I, Owen, take you, Lily, to be my wife," he said, his voice steady and sure. "I promise to love you, honor you, and stand beside you through whatever comes. You'll never be alone again." "I, Lily, take you, Owen, to be my husband," she replied, her voice breaking slightly with emotion. "I promise to love you, trust you, and build a life with you. You've given me hope again, and I'll spend every day showing you what that means to me." When the preacher pronounced them husband and wife, Owen kissed her with such tenderness that Lily felt tears slip down her cheeks once more. But these were happy tears, joyful tears, tears of a woman who had survived the darkness and found her way back into the light. The reception was held at the hotel, the whole town turning out to celebrate. There was fiddle music and dancing, and Lily found herself passed from partner to partner as the men lined up to congratulate the bride. But her eyes kept finding Owen across the room, and each time their gazes met, she felt that same electric thrill she had felt the first time he placed the ring in her hand. As evening fell, Owen finally reclaimed her for a dance. He held her close, swaying to a slow waltz, and Lily rested her head against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. "Happy, Mrs. Zimmerman," he murmured into her hair. "Happier than I ever thought I could be again," she admitted. "Thank you, Owen, for finding that ring. For finding me." "Best decision I ever made," Owen said, "though I should probably thank Emma Pritchard. If you hadn't sold the ring to save her, I never would have had an excuse to talk to you." Lily laughed softly. "I suppose some things are meant to be. I suppose they are." They left the reception as the stars came out, riding together to the ranch that was now their home. Owen carried Lily over the threshold, both of them laughing, and set her down gently in the bedroom. The laughter faded as they stood facing each other, suddenly shy despite the months of courtship. "I love you," Owen said simply. "So much, Lily." "I love you too," she whispered and reached for him. The months that followed were the happiest of Lily's life. She threw herself into making the ranch house a home, sewing curtains and planting a garden, cooking meals that made Owen groan with pleasure. She continued teaching at the schoolhouse, riding in each morning and returning each afternoon to her husband and their growing home. Owen worked tirelessly on the ranch, building up his herd, breaking horses, expanding the house. In the evenings, they would sit on the porch together, watching the sun set over the hills, talking about their days or simply enjoying the comfortable silence that comes when two people are completely at ease with each other. In October, Lily realized she was pregnant. She waited until she was certain before telling Owen, wanting to be sure, wanting it to be real. When she finally shared the news over dinner one evening, Owen dropped his fork and stared at her, his face cycling through shock, joy, and wonder. "A baby," he breathed. "We're having a baby." "We're having a baby," Lily confirmed, smiling through happy tears. "Probably next spring." Owen was around the table in an instant, pulling her up and into his arms, holding her as though she were made of glass. "I can't believe it," he kept saying. "I just can't believe it." "Believe it," Lily laughed, kissing his cheek. "You're going to be a father, Owen Zimmerman." The winter of 1884 was milder than the year before, for which Lily was grateful as her pregnancy progressed. Owen became impossibly protective, hovering over her and trying to prevent her from doing any work at all. Lily finally had to sit him down and explain that she was pregnant, not ill, and needed to feel useful. "But what if something happens?" Owen worried, his hand on her growing belly. "Nothing is going to happen," Lily assured him. "Women have been having babies since the dawn of time, Owen. I'll be fine, and so will our child." "Our child," Owen repeated, wonder in his voice. "I still can't quite believe it's real." "It's real," Lily said, taking his hand and pressing it more firmly against her stomach. "Here, can you feel that? The baby's kicking." Owen's eyes went wide as he felt the flutter of movement beneath his palm. "That's our baby," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "That's our baby, Lily." "That's our baby," she agreed. And they sat like that for a long time, Owen's hand on her belly, both of them marveling at the life they had created together. In April of 1885, after a labor that lasted through the night and into the next day, Lily gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Owen, who had paced the hallway until Doc Henderson threatened to sedate him, was finally allowed into the bedroom. He approached the bed tentatively, his eyes locked on the bundle in Lily's arms. "Come meet your son," Lily said softly, exhausted but glowing. Owen sat carefully on the edge of the bed and took the baby from her arms. The infant had a shock of dark hair and seemed impossibly tiny in Owen's large, work-roughened hands. As Owen stared down at his son, tears began to slide down his cheeks. "He's perfect," Owen whispered. "Lily, he's absolutely perfect. We're going to name him Thomas," Lily said. "Thomas Owen Zimmerman, after both the men who made me believe in love again." Owen looked up at her, his eyes swimming. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," Lily said firmly. "Thomas would have wanted it. And our son deserves to carry both legacies, the man who loved me first and the man who taught me I could love again." "Thomas Owen Zimmerman," Owen repeated, looking back down at the baby. "Welcome to the world, little man. You have the best mother in the entire world, and I promise I'm going to do everything I can to be the father you deserve." The baby yawned, his tiny fist waving in the air, and Owen laughed through his tears. Life on the ranch settled into a new rhythm. Thomas proved to be a good baby, sleeping well and eating heartily, growing stronger each day. Lily had taken a break from teaching to focus on motherhood, and she found herself loving every exhausting minute of it. Owen was a devoted father, coming in from the fields multiple times a day to check on his son, holding the baby in his large hands with a gentleness that made Lily's heart swell. By the time Thomas was walking, Lily found herself pregnant again. This time, the news was met with excited confidence rather than anxious wonder. Their daughter, Catherine Rose, was born in the spring of 1887, a squalling red-faced infant with her mother's green eyes and a temperament that suggested she would never be pushed around. "We're going to have our hands full with this one," Owen predicted, watching as the toddler Thomas peered curiously at his baby sister. "Probably," Lily agreed, laughing, "but we can handle it," and they could. Together, they handled everything: harsh winters and drought summers, sick children and sleepless nights, the everyday joys and struggles of building a life together. The ranch prospered under Owen's careful management, and their family grew close-knit and happy. On their 5th wedding anniversary, Owen presented Lily with a gift, a beautiful new brooch in the shape of a flower with a small diamond at its center. "Where did you get this?" Lily asked, touched by the thoughtfulness. "Had it made from your old ring," Owen explained. "The original stone from when you were married to Thomas. I know you wanted to honor that part of your life, and I thought this way you could wear both. Your wedding ring from me, and this pin to remember him by." Lily's eyes filled with tears as she pinned the brooch to her dress. "Owen Zimmerman, you are the best man I have ever known." "I learned from the best woman," Owen replied, pulling her close. "Everything good in my life started the day I found that ring and decided to return it to you." "Fate," Lily murmured. "Fate," Owen agreed. "Or Providence. Or just plain luck. Whatever it was, I'm grateful for it every single day." As the years passed, their family continued to grow. Another son, James, arrived in 1889, followed by twin daughters, Sarah and Grace, in 1891. The ranch house expanded to accommodate the growing family, with Owen and hired hands adding rooms and a second story. The land prospered, the cattle multiplied, and the Zimmerman name became synonymous with hard work and integrity throughout the Black Hills region. Lily watched her children grow with a full heart. Thomas, the eldest, showed signs of his father's quiet strength and his mother's compassion. Catherine was fierce and independent, determined to do everything her brothers could do and do it better. James was the dreamer of the family, always asking questions and wondering about the world beyond their hills. The twins, Sarah and Grace, were inseparable, finishing each other's sentences and getting into mischief together. On a summer evening in 1895, when Thomas was 10 and the twins were 4, the family gathered on the expanded porch for dinner. It had become a tradition. eating together outside when the weather was fine, watching the sun set over the land they had built together. "Tell us the story again," Catherine demanded around a mouthful of corn, "about how you and Papa met." Lily and Owen exchanged glances, both smiling. They had told this story countless times, but the children never tired of hearing it. "Well," Lily began, "it was a very cold winter back in 1883. There was a sick little girl named Emma who needed medicine, and I had to do something to help her. So Mama sold her wedding ring," Thomas continued, knowing the story by heart, "even though it was the most important thing she owned. And I happened to be in town that day," Owen picked up the tale. "I heard what your mama had done, and I knew I had to get that ring back for her, so I went to the pawn shop and bought it. And when you gave it back to her, she fell in love with you," Grace said dreamily. "Not right away," Lily corrected with a laugh. "It took some time. But yes, eventually I did fall in love with him, because he showed me that it was possible to love again, even after loss, that the heart has room for more than we think it does." "And then you got married and had us," James said, grinning. "And then we got married and had you," Owen confirmed, reaching across the table to take Lily's hand. "Best decision I ever made." "Best decision we both made," Lily corrected softly. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Lily looked around at her family, her heart so full it felt like it might burst. Her children, healthy and happy and loud. Her husband, strong and steady and still looking at her like she hung the moon. The home they had built together, full of love and laughter and life. She thought about that desperate winter day in 1883 when she had slipped her wedding ring from her finger and felt like she was giving up the last piece of her heart. She had been wrong. The heart wasn't a finite thing. It grew to accommodate new love, new joy, new life. Thomas would always be part of her, that first love that had shaped her into who she was. But Owen had shown her that she could love again, differently but no less deeply. "What are you thinking about?" Owen asked quietly, catching her expression. "Just how lucky I am," Lily replied. "How grateful I am for that day you walked into the pawn shop and bought back my ring. How grateful I am for every day since then." Owen raised her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles gently. "The gratitude is all mine, Lily. You gave me everything I never knew I needed. A home, a family, a purpose. You gave me love. We gave each other love," Lily corrected. "That's how it works, isn't it? When it's right, you both give and both receive until you can't tell the difference anymore." "Mama, Papa, stop being mushy," Catherine called out, making a face. "We're trying to eat here." The moment broke in laughter, and the evening continued with the comfortable chaos of a large, happy family. But later that night, after the children were in bed and Owen and Lily lay together in the darkness of their room, Owen pulled her close. "You ever regret it?" he asked quietly. "Selling that ring that day, setting everything in motion." Lily thought about it seriously. If she hadn't sold the ring, Emma might have died. Owen might never have noticed her. They might never have found each other, never created this beautiful, messy, perfect life together. "Not for a single second," she said firmly. "Every choice I've made, every sacrifice, every moment of pain or fear or uncertainty, all of it led me here. To you, to our children, to this life. How could I regret that?" "I love you, Lily Zimmerman," Owen said, his voice rough with emotion. "More than I could ever put into words." "I love you too, Owen," Lily replied. "Thank you for finding that ring. Thank you for finding me." "Always," Owen promised. "I will always find you, in this life and whatever comes after." They fell asleep that way, wrapped in each other's arms, the ring that had brought them together still circling Lily's finger, a symbol of both loss and love, of endings and new beginnings, of a heart that had learned to love twice and loved all the more deeply for it. The years continued to pass, each one bringing its own joys and challenges. The children grew and thrived. Thomas became a rancher like his father, eventually taking over much of the daily operations. Catherine shocked everyone by becoming the first female veterinarian in the Black Hills region, her fierce determination carrying her through medical school despite the obstacles. James became a writer, chronicling the history of the West and the people who had built it. The twins, Sarah and Grace, married brothers from a neighboring ranch, ensuring the families remained close. Owen and Lily grew older together, their hair graying and faces lining, but their love never dimmed. They still sat on the porch in the evenings, still held hands, still looked at each other with the same wonder and gratitude that had marked their early days together. On their 40th wedding anniversary in 1925, their children and grandchildren gathered at the ranch for a celebration. The house, expanded many times over the years, was bursting with family. Lily, now 65, moved more slowly than she once had, but her eyes were still bright, her smile still warm. Owen, at 68, had finally agreed to let Thomas run the ranch, though he still went out to check on the cattle most days. He couldn't seem to help himself. The land was in his blood, just as Lily was in his heart. During the celebration, young Thomas Jr., Catherine's son and Lily's oldest grandchild, asked to see the famous ring. Lily smiled and slipped it off, passing it to the 15-year-old boy. "Read the inscription," she instructed. Thomas squinted at the tiny words inside the band. "Thomas and Lily always. Owen and Lily forever," he read aloud. Then he looked up, confused. "There are two names here." "That's right," Lily said. "This ring has been married to two men and one woman. It represents two great loves of my life, and it reminds me that love doesn't diminish when we share it. It multiplies." "That's beautiful, Grandma," Thomas Jr. said, handing the ring back carefully. "It is beautiful," Lily agreed, slipping it back on. "And it all started because I was brave enough to let it go, and your grandfather was kind enough to bring it back." That night, as the party wound down and family members headed to their various homes or guest rooms, Owen and Lily sat together on the porch, watching the stars come out over the hills they had loved for so long. 40 years, Owen mused. Seems impossible. Feels like yesterday I was standing outside that pawn shop, holding your ring and trying to work up the courage to talk to you. 40 years, Lily echoed. And I'd do every single one of them over again exactly the same way. Even the hard parts, Owen asked. Especially the hard parts, Lily said. The hard parts taught us how strong we are together. They made the good parts even sweeter. Owen pulled her close, and they sat in comfortable silence, two people who had weathered life's storms together and come out stronger for it. They had built something rare and precious. A love that honored the past while embracing the future, a family that knew both joy and sorrow and chose joy, a life that mattered. "Thank you," Owen said finally. "For what?" "For taking a chance on a quiet cowboy who bought back your ring. For believing that your heart could hold more love than you thought. For 40 years of mornings waking up beside you and evenings falling asleep in your arms. For our children and our grandchildren and this life we've built. For everything, Lily. Thank you for everything." Lily turned to kiss him, this man who had shown her that love could bloom even in the coldest winter, that the heart could heal and grow and love again. "The pleasure has been all mine, Owen Zimmerman. The absolute pleasure has been all mine." They sat there together until the stars filled the sky and the moon rose over the Black Hills. Two souls who had found each other against all odds. Two hearts that beat as one. Two lives forever intertwined by a simple gold ring and the love that had grown from a single act of kindness. It was a love story for the ages, born in sacrifice and returned in devotion, and it would echo through their family for generations to come. A reminder that sometimes the best things in life begin when we're brave enough to give away what we treasure most, and lucky enough to have it returned by someone who understands its value. The end of their story was not really an ending at all, but rather a continuation, a legacy of love that would outlast them both, carried forward by children and grandchildren who had learned from their example what it meant to love truly, deeply, and forever. The ring that had brought them together continued to circle Lily's finger, a symbol of everything they had built together, everything they had become to each other, and everything their love meant to the family that surrounded them. In the autumn of 1932, Owen passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 75. Lily held his hand as he drew his last breath, and though her heart broke anew, she took comfort in the lifetime they had shared, the family they had created, the love that had sustained them both through 47 years of marriage. She lived 3 more years, surrounded by her children and grandchildren, still sharp and loving until the very end. When she died in the spring of 1935 at the age of 75, she was buried beside Owen on a hill overlooking the ranch they had built together. On her finger was the ring that had brought them together, and in her heart was a love that had never dimmed. Thomas Jr. inherited the ring, along with the story of how his grandparents had met. He passed it down to his own daughter, who passed it to hers, and the story of Lily Lancaster and Owen Zimmerman became family legend. A tale of sacrifice and kindness, of loss and healing, of a love that proved the heart always has room for more than we think, and that sometimes the best things in life come back to us when we least expect them, brought by people who understand their worth. It was a reminder that one act of compassion can change everything, and that true love, when we're brave enough to accept it, can heal even the deepest wounds and create something beautiful that lasts forever.